Okay guys, so in this video, I haven't got a plan, so it might be a little bit rambly. What I want to do is just to relive some experiences for you and talk about sort of my personal journey in a certain way of one specific part, which you can tell from the title is about what it's like to be earning big money from trading. And I think the reason why these videos are so important and why I'm going to start doing more of these is because where we have a lot of lessons planned in advance about certain theories and concepts and tools to use, although that is based on my experience, it doesn't allow me to sort of inject this real personal experience across to you and show you what it's like to, for example, transition from being a beginner to making money, from making money to becoming a professional trader. In this video, talking about making a lot of money. These sort of videos where I don't have a plan, I'm just going to talk off the top of my head, from the heart, you could say, like, this gives me a chance to really give you a feel for what it's like. It's not scripted, just, I'm going to say it how it is. So, usually with these sort of videos, you probably expect to see people showing off their Ferrari and big houses and the different places that they go to and their holidays, because if you search on YouTube for professional trader, that's usually what you'll find. But the reality isn't like that necessarily. Like, of course you can buy nice things, but the reality, there's some positives and negatives with making money, and there's some strange feelings involved. And it might not be for everyone, but these are my personal experiences, and I don't think I'm the only one that would go through this. I think there's a lot more people that also experience exactly what I experienced. And so I think it's probably more insightful than those videos. But maybe for some people, they will feel it's more of like demotivating than motivating to actually hear the reality of what it's like. And when we talk about big money, I'm talking about like 5-6 figure sums, not as an annual thing, but actually closing a trade that is a 5 or 6 figure sum, right? Tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands. And I'm not talking about, trading on behalf of a bank or a hedge fund or other people. I'm going to do a separate video about trading on behalf of other people. This video is about as a private trader, because it's very different. If you're working for a bank, of course you need to hit your targets for your trades to take home your bonus and to make a lot of money, but it's not quite the same as the pressure of knowing it's your money at risk. So let's get into that for a bit. So I'll talk about the first time I actually withdrew money from the trading account, because you see, when I was working in banking, which is when, my trading really started to take off. I'd made some money before that, but that's when things started to really be like making more money than I needed each month. So it was like disposable income. But in banking in London specifically, like, people get paid quite well. So I was on a decent salary, people around me were on a decent salary. So it's not like you were really struggling and like this, everything was depending on trading. In fact, trading started as a hobby and became something that started making me money. But I'd say the first time that I actually took money from the trading account, because before that I was just building it up, I took £30,000. And most people taking £30,000 like after tax money, so that's literally 30 grand in your account that you can go and spend. You probably sit there now and think, there's so many things that I'd want to buy with that money. There's so many things I could do. I could go on these holidays, that holiday, I could do this thing, buy this car, whatever. But the reality was I had this £30,000 sitting in my account. I'd been living comfortably until then, sometimes like living on my paycheck, sometimes not, having some extra for the next month. Like, I did have a decent lifestyle, went on holidays and that kind of thing. At the time I was with someone that was living in Spain, so I was going over to Spain a lot of the time. But having that 30 grand sitting there, it suddenly dawned on me that actually I don't know what to do with it. And it was a really hollow feeling. Like, it felt like an empty sort of victory, a hollow victory, having this 30 grand in my account, having a big trading account as well at the same time, like hundreds of thousands in a trading account. But in my account, it's 30 grand literally there to spend. And so what I ended up doing was I thought and thought about it. What can I buy? What can I even buy to like mark the occasion? So I bought a £2,000 watch, and I spent, I think it was like £12,000 or something like that, paying off someone else's debt who was close to me. And the rest of it just sat there. I didn't know what to do with it. It didn't change my life. I still had the same problems I had before. I didn't feel like I was any closer to achieving my goals. What it did for me was made me realize that actually people put money on this pedestal. You think that if you earn this money, you're going to fix the problems in your life. If you earn this money, you'll be happy, you'll be able to do all the things that you want to do. But when it comes to it, the reality is very, very different. You start to realize, shit, the problems are still there. I mean, just a few months after that, I actually lost the person that I was with. Not lost, they didn't die, they're still alive. We broke up because I was working too much. Because this is the thing, when you start making big money, I mean, take for example, like a smaller trading account. Let's say that you're closing trades and you're making maybe 50 to 70 pounds on a trade or something. Then if someone wants to do something with you, have a day out somewhere, it probably doesn't take so much for you to say, yeah, let's have a day out. But the problem is, when you know that if you sit there for an hour, you can make maybe £5,000, then things change completely. Suddenly you don't want to do things. You don't even want to sleep. I worked around the clock constantly because I knew that if I even find one single opportunity, that's a lot of extra money to add to my bank balance. That's a lot of extra money to add to my trading account. And that's when things start to get unhealthy. Because not only is it then that you're obsessing over your trading, sort of in the same way as a gambler, because with trading you can fall into these gambling tendencies, but it's not always in a negative way. Well, it is in a way a negative way, but it's not always because you're losing and trying to get your money back. But it also could be because you're winning and you can't just say enough's enough. You want to keep making more and more and more. And that's the situation I found myself in. So I lost my girlfriend because I was working too much. I didn't have any time to spend with her. I was getting ill. I was having sleepless nights because I was just constantly trading. I had my laptop open by my bed and money just started to lose its value. I remember one Sunday when I was, the markets opened and I started trading. And between the time the markets opened till someone that was with me, I'm trying my best not to mention people's names or make specific references to people here, but between the time that the markets opened and the time that person that was there went to bed, I'd earned £50,000, right? That's a hell of a lot of money to earn even in a year. Like the average salary in the UK before tax is, I think, mid-20s, so like 25 to 28,000, something like that. So it's basically double that in the space of a few hours. And a person that was going to bed, I remember their exact words. They said to me, "You little bastard, I have to work a whole year and I earn less than that." And at that point, like, you'd think you'd be proud of yourself, like it's an achievement. But it didn't feel that way because money started to lose its value for me. It started to be that these were just numbers on a screen. And we say in trading, like, that's a good thing to be. That's a good situation to be in because you don't want to be trading your profit and loss and thinking like when you lose a trade, if you lose like £500, like, shit, I could have paid to go to France for that money or something like that. You want to be seeing it just as numbers because that's the way to remove yourself from the trade psychologically. But when you start seeing them as numbers on a screen and that's just translating to everything in your life and you're just blasé about it, that's a different story. Like for me, making £10,000, it started off exciting, and then after a while, it was just like, oh, another £10,000. Oh, another £20,000. One day, I even clicked and closed a trade that earned like between one and £200,000 when I shorted the euro. And although that one, I was a bit shell shocked for it, it lost its appeal. So then, of course, you go through this phase where you want to spend the money because at the start, like when I had that £30,000, part of you understands that you've got to a certain point in your trading at that point where you've been through the losses and stuff like that. But at that point, although you see yourself being consistent, you still have this niggling doubt in your mind the whole time. Like, what if this isn't consistent? What if I lose all the money tomorrow? What if things go wrong? So you're sort of reluctant to spend the money. You also know at the same time that if you do spend that money, it can't be used to earn a return for you. So you have to go through this battle in your mind the whole time of like, can I spend this money and feel good about it? And so I got to the stage where I could start spending the money. So this meant like whenever I went out with my friends or anyone else, then I was always going to pick up the bill. And that actually ruined a lot of friendships for me because people start taking advantage. People start doing this thing, right? There's two tricks basically that I've seen people do. There's the drink switching trick and there's another trick which is called fat wallet trick. So the first one, the drink switching trick, is when you go out with a friend and when it's their round, they'll order something normal, pint of beer, glass of wine, or if they don't drink, like a glass of Coke or something. Then it's your round and they straight away get the cocktail list. But they do it in a smooth way, like it's perfectly okay, perfectly normal for them to get an expensive drink. And, the first time you might think, yeah, that's fine. But when it happens again and again, you start realizing people are taking advantage here. Or when they expect you to take them for a nice meal somewhere rather than just the place that you used to go to. And the fat wallet trick is this one, where the bill arrives on the table and you're there like straight away get your wallet out, whereas they're taking like half an hour, like they've got a really fat wallet that's stuck in their pocket. Because the longer they take, the more chance of you just putting your card down and going, okay, that's mine. And that's what kept happening. And it kind of started to taint some relationships, ruin them. You start to see where your real relationships are compared to the people that are just the good time friends. And believe me, when there are bad times or when you're going through the stress, those aren't the people that are going to be there for you. So when you have more money, you start to realize that maybe what you thought was like your real life, or what you thought was reality, or how people are, is not necessarily how they are. And the same for the world around you. And the problems that you used to put these problems up here and think that, like, put money on a pedestal and like, if I can make enough money it gets rid of the problems. It's not that way. It's actually, like Biggie says, more money, more problems. In a way, like, some things get like resolved and you don't have to think about it anymore, but you go through those phases. And so back then, in that year, like, I started the year off by, I saw New Year in by being in New York. So that was a first holiday. I, a little bit later, went to France. I went to Las Vegas. And then I was going back and forth to Spain all the time because my girlfriend was living there. And then I moved to Zurich because that's where we set up the company, the Swiss company. Like, so after the trading went well, we set up a company there in Switzerland, in Zurich. And I moved into an apartment where it was like 4 or 5 thousand. I think it was actually 4,500 a month in rent for this bloody place that I didn't even need. And I went on, after that, 2 yacht holidays. One to Malta, not just me on my own, a few people on the yacht in Malta. Then after that, went around the Greek islands, another yacht holiday, a bigger yacht that time. And like, things started to just, it was like this shallow life where you just start going and doing all these things. It was a lot of fun, believe me, but it just doesn't feel like reality. We also bought a Maserati Gran Turismo limited edition. We had a Range Rover Sport customized on order that was coming later that year. And so I was there living in Zurich. And the thing about a place like Zurich is that everyone's obsessed with money. The shops are like designer shops. Even the supermarkets are expensive. I remember spending 1,000 francs on one weekly shopping, and I was like, I don't even have much here. Like, not what I'd expect. That would probably cost 100 quid at Tesco. Like, things were just expensive, and people there weren't happy. People are obsessed with money. They want to talk about money. I remember a guy found out about like my trading and how my trading was going so well, and I remember he sat down, and I hope the person doesn't ever watch this, but I'm sure they won't. Sat down and said to me, would you trade on behalf of me? If you trade on behalf of me, I'll give you this Rolex. And they took the Rolex off their arm and they put it on my arm because they saw my watch I'd bought, and it was a £2,000 watch. And they put their Rolex on my arm and they said, you can keep that, that's £30,000. You can't come to Switzerland and have a cheap watch like your one. And there's me thinking, this is an expensive watch. And they started then offering me all kinds of other things. I remember them specifically saying, I said, like, I can't, I'm already trading around the clock, it's not healthy, I need to cut back what I'm doing. And they said, you know what, I'll give you all the coke in the world to trade around the clock. Now, I'm not I'm not someone that does drugs. I'm going really far into this story, but I'm not the sort of person that does drugs, so that didn't appeal to me. But it's just this situation of where people are just obsessed with money and material items, that then I started to get quite depressed being there. In fact, I'd lost my relationship at that point, got depressed. I was like, the things that we've got, the holidays and stuff, don't really solve anything. So I then moved to Valencia, to Spain. Tried to rekindle my relationship, didn't go so well. I won't get into that side of things. But basically what I'm showing you is that you still have everyday problems. I can go in the markets and close trades for like tens of hundreds of thousands of pounds, and it's not going to resolve anything. So you have to then start to reflect on what you actually want. At that point, you get rid of a lot of the material things you have because it just feels shallow, and you start to try and sort of connect with what actually matters to you. The thing about trading is that it's very lonely, and especially if you're not going out and seeing people because you can earn so much money from it, then you sort of make things even more lonely for yourself. It's just you and the screens all the time. So you need to find ways to overcome that. And for me, it was finding ways that through our business, to start to interact with more people and to like sort of re-engage with that side of things, because that's something I used to enjoy, and I'm a people person. But if you're there with the screen, it's just you and the screen. So it's like this sort of feeling of, on one hand, you know what you've been through to earn that money and the risk you've gone through. So you have this niggling thing in your head all the time that it could be gone like that. And I've seen people where it is gone so quickly. And at the same time, you're trying to enjoy the money, but oh, the screens have gone off. You're trying to enjoy the money, but it's like that you realize that it's not what you want to do. And you go through this whole cycle of the doubts, I guess. I don't know why I'm going to turn this into a positive. It just sounds all negative. So I sort of feel like I've probably gone a little bit more honest and personal than I was expecting to. It kind of just trailed off that way, and I started opening up about things that I probably didn't expect at the start of this video I would. It sort of starts to feel like a counselling session now. But basically, I mean, all of what I've said so far comes across as negative, but it's not as well. There's the feeling of making that much money and understanding what you've done to achieve that, and how you're in that minute percentage of people that can actually do that, and knowing that you've got a certain amount of security, although you're putting money at risk. It feels amazing. And then you start planning what you can do in the future, looking at what sort of foundations you can get involved in, what places you can buy like to live in, the different holidays you could do in the future. But the thing that I found important, and I think that you need to probably address, is that the money's not going to sort out a lot of those things. Like, a lot of the things that you think you'll be able to do with money, you can do already. And that's something I've realized now. I'm much more content with trading, with life in general now. Even if I can make the same amount of money I could then, it's much more balanced. I understand what's more important and what's not. I understand what I actually need. And I think that's what I'm saying with a lot of you. And I think this is where a lot of the dots get connected between some of the videos that we've put out recently, is that you need to really figure out what it is that you want. Whether trading is actually the thing that's going to get you that. If you're just doing it for the money, well, there's lots of high paying jobs out there that you can work towards. Like, the amount of time it's going to take to get to that level with trading, you could probably take a course, whatever, and start to learn another craft, another skill, another career, another profession. So it's not necessary that trading is going to do that for you. I think a lot of people get confused by the accessibility of trading. They think just because they can start tomorrow means that they're going to be making that sort of money quicker, but it's not the case. So I think that you need to really figure out, like, what is it that you're trying to achieve? Please don't put it down to money. Don't say you're trying to achieve a lot of money. Like, have something specific about it, because otherwise you do get to the stage where you've made money and you think, what's changed? What's different? And it feels worse than before, because you suddenly realize, like, one of your avenues, like one of the different routes you can go down in this maze of trying to achieve happiness, or whatever you want to call it, is now blocked. Like, you've got to figure out really what is actually going to be improving your life. And so those are the realities. Like, you can buy nice things, but that's not everything. And I think that most of you, if you had a Ferrari in the drive, wouldn't be that much happier after a while than if you were living your life how it is now. I think, you know, driving around in a Maserati didn't change my life that much. Going on a yacht holiday, actually, you know, I'm not going to badmouth yacht holidays. I want to go on one now. So anyway, what I'll do is I'll leave that there, and maybe I'll watch this back and realise that maybe I shouldn't have said some of the things, or maybe I should say extra things. So maybe I end up cutting out this video, which I won't cut anything out of this video. But I might do a follow-up video soon, because I'm sure there's things that I've forgotten that I should probably cover. So thanks for watching. If you got any feedback, comments below, then leave those. I'm sure I'll get people there going, yeah, he's just making it up, never happened. Well, fine. If you want to think that, think that. If you like the video, hit the thumbs up if you want more videos like this. And don't forget to subscribe for more of me rambling about losing girlfriends. Take care. Bye.